Hello there, and welcome to episode 106 of the video game podcast Between the Joysticks. I'm your host, Nick, and I'm joined by my co-host, Jon.
Me.
Jon, we're returning with the internet controversy segment to start things off.
No easing into it. No.
How are you, Jon?
Warm welcomes.
How are you doing?
I'm good, man. I got my berries and cream coffee, which I don't usually like fruity coffee, but I love that Starburst commercial, so I'm good with it. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm okay.
All right. Now you can get into the shit.
Now that the pleasantries
Yes.
are behind us. As last time, do you have any inkling? I brought two this time. Do you have any inkling of what the internet controversies could be this week?
No, but I do. Now that you actually give me a time to speak and I have something in my head, I do want to at least mention that I saw that both Black Myth Wukong and Phantom Blade Zero have said that they're not going to Xbox, not because there's a contractual obligation to do so, but simply they just don't want to.
Bing, bing, bing.
Is that one of them?
Yes, one of them.
I find that very funny. Very funny.
Yeah, this is a weird story because it comes from a Brazilian website called Gameplays Cassie that claimed a Phantom Blade Zero developer, when asked about their the distribution of their game and Black Myth Wukong, who are coming to every platform except Switch, obviously, and Xbox. They're coming to PlayStation and Xbox, and they don't know who said this.
PlayStation PC?
Yeah, sorry, PlayStation and PC, sorry. They don't know who said it. They didn't quote anybody on it, but as you mentioned, they say that nobody needs Xbox.
So harsh, so blunt.
Elaborating on the point, the developer reportedly said that Microsoft consoles aren't popular in Asia and that their latest generation significantly complicates development on account of compromising two distinct consoles, the Series S and X.
Yeah.
The comments quickly made the rounds online, and of course, the controversy among the Xbox fandom. Now, the developer S-Game, had already released a statement. They said, "We want to clarify that these claim statements do not represent S-Game values or culture, as we believe in making our game accessible to everyone and have not ruled out any platforms for Phantom Blade Zero. We are hard at work on both the development and publishing fronts to ensure that as many players as possible can enjoy our game at release in the future."
Sure. Makes sense, honestly. I mean, not from I don't think Xbox is worthless or whatever the hell they said. Made it funny.
Nobody needs Xbox.
Nobody needs them. But, it does make sense when you evaluate Microsoft as a global brand. If they do have any cachet, it's here and Mexico. Those are like the two places that they seem to do very, very well. So, two games that are heavily East Asian inspired. It makes sense that they are not going to focus on that. I do think it's a little odd to hear it so candidly. And if I were a betting man, I would imagine you'll see these games on the Xbox platform, but not at launch is kind of what I'm thinking. Like if they're specifically calling out the reason for it being at least partly due to the Series S and Series X difference, they're not going to worry about getting those out and busting their ass for it when they're not going to sell anyway. Right. So if you could at least, hey, we're going to focus on getting the best product out for PlayStation PC. Obviously, these are Game Pass type games. Like they'll be good on that service, but we don't need to worry about having it at launch, right? That's kind of what I took away from it a little bit. It's just
sure.
Like, we're not going to sell anything over there, so we'll get it there when we can.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about it this week, but the sales numbers for the first half of the year came out, and it's still not great for Xbox hardware specifically. And the Microsoft's mandate that anything releases for Series X has to come out in Series S, kind of bites them in the butt, as you mentioned, when it comes to development cost, because now you're planning for another platform, so it makes sense.
Well, I think today even they just released some of the, how Black Myth Wukong is going to run on PlayStation 5, and it's going to run fine. But I think it's like 1440 at 60 frames a second and 2160 at 30. And if that's what the PS5 can do, that Series S version, it's gonna be rough. So yeah, I'm sure they definitely don't want to compromise. You only can have a game pop really like that once, and especially 2 new franchises. Well, I think Phantom Blade Zero is technically an existing franchise, but it's a small one. So yeah, is what it is.
Yeah. So again, of course, the internet went wild with that one.
Yeah.
All the trolls out there just baiting all the
What
Xbox fans.
I didn't look into it. Was it like more just like people kind of going like, no, Sony's lying. They definitely have something, or they definitely snuck in some money somewhere. Like, what is the conversation?
No, just a dig at Xbox.
Sure.
It's just another reason why, that not to buy the console and to taunt them as they are just like I said. There is no exclusive that we know of exclusive deal with Sony for either of these games yet. They're Sony exclusives.
So everybody on the internet turned into the lady from Game of Thrones. Shame. The shame lady. Yeah. Shame.
Yeah. So the other
Septa Unella.
The other internet controversy. This also came from you, so I'm surprised you didn't guess it.
Oh, I'm an idiot. Things come in and out very quickly.
And I always love this one because this one comes up, every other year, and that's video game output is not the same as it was, 20 years ago.
Sure.
The amount of publishers release multiple games a year. Some developers would release multiple games a year, and that's kind of unheard of right now. But the one company that gets taken to task more than any other company, despite not having the longest time between games, is of course Rockstar Games. Yeah. You send me this graphic that's been going around about their output, which has been on average, in the early 2000s to late 2010 was about 3 games a year they were putting out at one point, and then at start of 2011 it was 1 game per year, and then after Grand Theft Auto 5 we didn't get in 2013 we didn't get another game till Red Dead Redemption 2 in 2018, and now since then there hasn't been another full-blown release game from Rockstar. And it always makes me laugh because people just don't understand that the whole development world has changed.
Yeah.
And it was 9 years for Rocksteady's between games. Bethesda as well, another 8 years.
Yeah.
7 years, 2016.
A lot of Sony first-party teams, too, are all just kind of like, where are these? Like, it should be a 5-year cycle. And I've said it on this show before. That is a myth. Like, that's not – we keep saying, like, yeah, it's about time. It's like, is it, though? Or
right.
have things shifted? Yeah, this one, I think I said it to you with, like, something I was just like, well, this is a depressing image.
Right.
And it's not – obviously not that I don't understand. I know you're not saying that I don't understand how this stuff works, but it is hard to look at it visually and go, oh, the future sucks, kind of. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and if you are older, like Nick and I, we're not old by any means, but we're in our mid to late 30s, and we remember going to Blockbuster and pulling out the latest issue of Nintendo Power or whatever and seeing like the games that were coming out from developers. And yeah, they had to release games because that's how they made money, right? If they do not release games, they're not collecting on any sorts of revenue outside of those releases. And now that we live in an age where you can get V-Bucks and Shark Cards and Robux, and these companies don't need. In fact, it's a detriment to them to reduce development efforts on these live service things that can net a lot more money. So it's just an unfortunate reality we live in. I kind of almost view it in the same way of like movies now, where back in the 90s there was this extra source of revenue, and Matt Damon's actually I think famously talked about this, where extra form of revenue with DVDs, where you didn't have to make all of your money in theaters, so companies could take a little bit more risk, a little more stories that might be a little more intimate or might not sell well, but they can make up for it on the DVD back end, right? Like Good Will Hunting, I think, is the example he uses because it's a very, very well-loved movie, but not going to get the theater executives to be like, oh, look at this, it's going to make a bunch of money.
Right.
And so it's kind of a similar thing where it's just like people are a little more, much more risk-averse. Projects take a lot more time now, and the money really is not there.
Yeah, and a video game 20 years ago is not a video game now. Like,
right.
Look at what Grand Theft Auto 6 is attempting to do, and it's everything. It's going to be the ultimate simulation of a life in Florida, and it's not the same as Grand Theft Auto 3 on PlayStation 2. The amount of work and money that goes to make a modern video game now, it's just insane.
Mm-hmm.
And as we'll get into later, affecting one of the greatest developers ever in Bungie. So
yeah, I thought you were gonna say Rockstar. I was gonna say debatable. Yeah,
debatable, huh?
No,
really?
It's not debatable. No, it's not. No, it's not. I'm not that silly.
So yeah, and like I said, Rockstar is not even the worst offender. There are developers out there that have longer time periods between games, and
let me ask you this, Nick. Would you rather Rockstar come out with a Grand Theft Auto every 2 years that's like good, but it kind of is not moving the needle too much, or you wait 10 years and you get something, hopefully, like we're going to get with a $2 billion budget, right? So
can I get somewhere in between?
Yeah, yeah.
Can I just get 5 years between games?
I know. Yeah, it was a good little cadence, wasn't it? That like PS3, PS4, 4 to 5 year cycle was a good one. But alas, it's
fine. Like I said, I don't.
There's plenty of stuff to play, right?
Yeah, exactly. We're not running out of things, and let Rockstar Games cook. It's just again, when you're the king, right? You're the king of all video games. You get that extra scrutiny because it's like,
Yeah, it's just, when you're the best, you have a target on your back, and so that's just how it is.
Exactly. Yeah. So, so I got one more controversy.
Oh.
There's a third one, and this is an audio controversy. So I hope this plays good over my mic. And this is a quote from somebody you may know. I'll just play it and let it speak for itself.
Sure. Is it me?
I love what Xbox is doing from a strategy standpoint. They are geniuses at Microsoft, and I respect them so much. The games in their future roster remind me of the Fast and Furious franchise, which is, of course, my favorite line of movies ever.
Who is that?
I can't believe anyone would want to play games like Dave the Diver and
You don't know who that recognizes that voice?
Call of Duty and so many live service games. Think about all the skins you can buy for them. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's you, man.
Is that me?
Yeah.
Is that me?
That is you.
What was I saying? I was saying, why would you want to play Dave the Diver?
Yeah.
When was this?
We'll play it one more time.
I love what Xbox is doing from a strategy standpoint. They are geniuses at Microsoft, and I respect them so much. The games in their future roster remind me of the Fast and Furious franchise.
No, what is this? What did you do? What did you do?
Building on our conversation
you
last week
AI shit,
of video game voice actors and AI, is pal of the show Nick sent me a clip of Jon's voice using AI, and as you can hear there, he's loving Xbox. He compares it to how well he loves the Fast and the Furious franchise. Why even play games like Dave the Diver when, you can play Call of Duty? And
you had me going for a second. I was like, I did not say that. This is the future. Oh, God. I don't even recognize my own voice. And like, what? We're fucked.
Yeah, but this is kind of, again, what we were building on last week is like Jon and I have hundreds of hours of our voice out there that it's easy to imitate.
Unreal, dude.
Our voices.
Nick, I both love and hate that. And I'm talking to both Nicks right now.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
You sent me that a minute ago, but I was like, I got to wait for the show to break Jon on that. But Jon did not actually say any of that.
Okay, thank you.
To be clear.
Living through a fever dream. Jeez.
Whew.
I hope you're proud of yourself, both of you.
I'm very happy. I love it. It's hard to sit on some things like that.
Good one.
But that's kind of the crazy thing. That's why these video game voice actors are on strike, because look how easy it is.
Yeah.
Really,
really kind of puts it in perspective, doesn't it? The fuck?
Yeah, it's gonna be kind of scary out there.
Can't wait to get you saying some crazy ass shit.
Never.
Yeah, I was at January 6th.
Yeah. And this is just the beginning of that technology, right? It's only gonna get better and more believable. So,
yay.
Well, that's all I got, Jon. So we can move on with the show if you're ready.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. This is how the show works. Jon and I both can bring up to 3 things to talk about on the show. It can be a news item. We got a news-heavy week. We got an HBO's The Last of Us trailer for Season 2. Avowed is getting pushed out of 2024. Game Informer is closing after 33 years, and there are some more layoffs in the industry. A tale as old as time. This time it affects Bungie. It can be a topic. We're going to be talking Gamescom. We're 2 weeks away from opening night live, the third event in the Keighleys, and he's already got some teases out there, so we'll make some predictions about that showcase. And finally, it can be a game we're playing. I got Thank Goodness You're Here. John is bringing Slay the Spire.
An oldie but a goodie.
But it can also be an email from you, the listener. You can write in at betweenthejoysticks@gmail.com, a Twitter DM at joystickspod. Follow us there for updates on the show. And finally, it can be a comment on our YouTube page at Between the Joysticks. Any of those things, we can bring it. And we got 4 things for you today. You ready? Ready for some news?
What if I said no?
I'll get it anyway.
Doesn't matter, does it?
Not at all. All right, we're gonna start on we'll start on the happiest news item. This week saw the season finale of HBO's House of Dragons, one of their flagship shows, and it ended with a trailer for all the upcoming shows coming to HBO. There's a Dune television show, White Lotus season 3, but it ended on
Speaking of coming, go ahead.
It ended on a show very near and dear to our hearts, and that's HBO's The Last of Us season 2. They're going into the second game, John.
Yep.
And while we only got about 24 seconds of footage, it was yummy.
They jammed a lot in there.
Yeah, they really did. And what are your thoughts? I know you loved the first season.
Mm-hmm.
Here we are looking into the second season. We just got done playing Last of Us Part 2 Remastered earlier this year. What are your thoughts without spoiling?
I'm glad you said that because you know me. Sometimes I just get on a roll and I can't help myself. But absolutely everything you said, 100% true. I think The Last of Us, despite some drama from people on the internet, is probably the greatest example of storytelling in video games as a whole. So to see how well they adapted the first game into television form, we don't have to worry about those fears anymore, right? We know that the team at the helm is the team to bring this adaptation to the screen. So to see them tackle the second game, which obviously has many twists and turns, many of those oh shit moments, a little bit of an unconventional type of storytelling that is probably my biggest question going into this season on how they're going to tackle it. I don't think this is a spoiler, but it's very much segmented into 2 distinct playthroughs, right? So, do they just kind of keep that as such, or do they approach it in a we're going to do one arc for this season, another arc for the next? So, a lot of questions and stuff that we need to know, but having Jeffrey Wright in there as Isaac, he also played in the game, so obviously perfect fit. But to get Catherine O'Hara, to see Pedro at the top of his game, I thought he was at the top of his game when The Last of Us season 1 came, or when the first season came out. Seems like he's only gotten bigger. He's doing the Fantastic Four movie and all that good stuff. So 2025, man. I mean, I would tally that as a front runner for best show coming out next year. I mean, I'm sure there'll be lots of competition for it, but I'm just super excited to see the general population's reaction to this, and for those who know, and for those who don't, keep it that way. But it's gonna be a fun one, and I'll be crying. It's not gonna be a very happy season, but it'll be very entertaining, I'm sure.
These shows rarely are, but I really don't need to see any more. Mm-hmm. We know, like great point, that we have the trust of the first season. And just what we see in this very brief look at this is just. We see the Seraphites. Mm-hmm. We see key moments of the game in live action, and you're just ready,
Yeah, and I mean, this is just a personal thing, but I love down to earth, gritty storytelling, and adding in the end of the world apocalypse onto it, but still maintaining just how real everything has always felt in that world is just. It really is unmatched, in my opinion. I know there's other, like the Fallout show, I had problems with it, but it was still a very good show, in terms of production value and things like this. But this is just a total package of acting, writing, production value. The way that the clickers and the bloated look from season 1, that bloater coming out in that first, that one episode is still just I'm getting chills thinking about it. And so, do we get to see the next evolution of the Infected, which I know you know what that is, but I won't say it here, and I'm sure we will. And some new characters, and new actors, actresses. They all killed it, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
And just an expansion of, I mean, again, like I said, we saw the Seraphites. We know there are more. We saw Isaac, an expansion of these factions that we only got to see a little bit of between all the chaos of that game, to get more of an expansion on their beliefs and, this battle for Seattle that we know is coming.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. So we now know there's no date, right, for this, just 2025?
Nope.
So we're thinking early 2025?
Yeah.
Spring? That's kind of like they're usually their big shows like April.
Yeah.
Do we see The Last of Us season or part 3 next year? Do we see that announced? Because now the clock's a ticking, in terms of you want the shit there. And I think I'm a believer that Naughty Dog has been working on it.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I could see it being shown and then a 2026
They're working on factions, and I'm sure a lot of that work will go into whenever the next Last of Us Part 3 comes out.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, again, we talked about last week about the PlayStation 5 Pro showcase and whether or not that would be a big blowout of future titles in Sony's library finally.
Yeah, I guess they could jump the gun a little bit too. Wouldn't hurt. Drum up some excitement for the show.
It could be there, but yeah, just
have a little cross where we're promoting each other type thing.
Just like earlier this year, you bet Phil Spencer wishes they had a Fallout 5 in development to tie into the success of the Amazon TV show. You would think Sony's in the same boat. They would love to have a game coinciding with the popularity of this HBO show. So, Factions is canceled, so that was probably going to be the one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. Could I conspiracy theory, I could almost see them, hey, we're going to push season 2 a little bit further out just to give us a little more time for the game. Because it was originally supposed to be, wasn't it originally supposed to be 2024 and they pushed it, or it's just we never got a...
I don't
know. There's a weird writing strikes and all sorts of stuff. COVID.
Right, and just shows of these calibers are always 2-year breaks, so it just...
When do you think's the last year that people stop blaming COVID for a thing? We got to be getting close, right?
Yeah, it should be now, really.
Close. Good shit.
Yeah, I don't... Again, Sony plays... To your question, Sony is so tight on announcement to release that it is hard to say. I don't think that game's as close as we think.
Yeah.
Maybe it is something that's for when the season finale of the season 2 comes out. They're like, hey, yeah, part 3's on the way, and season 3 of the show will conclude part 2, and then go from there. So
sure.
But exciting. Yeah, I'm just HBO this. Considered one of the best, or Max now, I'm sorry. One of the best as far as television shows. Their flagship show and their trailer of all their upcoming shows is a video game property.
We done did it. We done did it.
All right, let's go on to our next news topic. On Friday, August 2nd, Xbox had an announcement in regards to Avowed, that the game is officially delayed to February 18th of next year to give the game some breathing room, quote unquote. And it was okay, easy, John, easy now. And this was accompanied by an interesting image in which they had every announced first-party Xbox game coming. Not every announced game they have, but they have the rest of this year threaded out, which they included the World of Warcraft expansion, Ara History Untold, Diablo 4 expansion, Call of Duty Black Ops 6. They dated Indiana Jones as still this year, the Starfield DLC still this year, and then for 2025 they have South of Midnight, Doom, and Fable, and more. So kind of a weird way to phrase it. What do you think, John?
Yeah, that's my main problem with it. Don't think we're stupid. Like,
what do you mean? You don't think?
I just don't like. Oh, there's so many games to play. We're gonna give your backlog some breathing room. It's like I don't. To me, that is just putting a veil over something that there's another. Like, either the game's not fully fleshed out, they haven't received the pop that they want, because I've never heard anybody say that they're excited for this game. Looking at their I don't know, their roadmap. Yeah, okay, you got a Aura History Untold game. I'm sure that game's gonna be great for the very niche audience that wants it.
PC only.
You got a Diablo DLC. You got Black Ops 6, which is basically just what it is at this point.
Right.
And you got Flight Simulator. So, like, what are you talking about for backlog games?
Well, you have Indiana Jones.
Sure, yeah, and then you got Indiana Jones, Shattered Space, and Towerborn, which don't have dates yet, which is silly in and of itself. So it's just I don't know. I feel like, do you guys manage your shit or not? Like, because you put a date on this before, like, so you didn't realize that you didn't look at your portfolio coming out like in the next couple months. It's fine, whatever. Let the game cook. I'm always for delaying games until they're in the best possible state that they can be. I don't know. Looking at their next year with South of Midnight, Doom, The Dark Ages, and Fable, those are way more exciting than anything that's coming out this fall. So I would think, if anything, you'd almost want Avowed there. But I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a fan of the game, you're probably pretty bummed.
Yeah, and like, how does that make? I don't know. If I was at Obsidian, I'd probably be like, no. Do you guys not believe in us, or what is it? It just seems. It seems disingenuous type of statement.
The only other thing I can think of is the direct comparison to the other big RPG, and that's Dragon Age, the Veilguard, having that comparison.
Yeah, you could definitely compare it, but I mean, third person versus first person, I feel like they're going over two very different types of scope.
Well, you can play it about third person.
Yeah, but it looks weird. It's always playing those games in third person have always been weird to me. I don't know. I'm anticipating Avowed is basically like Outer Wilds was to Fallout, as this is to Elder Scrolls. Like, that's what I'm thinking. So,
right.
I don't know. It's fine. I hope the game is good, because man, we need a hit over there.
Yeah.
We need one.
Yeah. So yeah, again, as we keep talking about how next year is going to be pretty stacked, here we go. There's the first one. But yeah, whether or not it's true or not, but I mean, there's a lot of games coming out this fall.
Yeah, but there's a lot of games coming out every fall.
Right.
Like, that's never gonna go away. And so I just, like, is there anything coming out this fall that is super similar to Avowed? I would say no.
No.
Like, I mean, yeah, sure, you could say Dragon Age. Like, maybe they're thinking, okay, well, Starfield Shattered Space is probably going to drop in that October-November window. That kind of would be eating your own cake. True. Or whatever. Where if, like, Starfield wasn't as big of a hit as they want it to be, it was still huge, still a big thing that people are going to show back up for this DLC. But would people be saying, "Oh, I'm not going to check out Avowed then because this is here"? So, like, maybe that's the calculus, is that they want to keep those experiences different. Or maybe even Indiana Jones is more of an RPG-ish type thing than I think it is, and that's first person. Maybe you'll draw some comparisons there. So there might be a little bit to it, but it just, I don't know.
And maybe
I never trust marketing people and PR people.
We just saw big changes to the Game Pass. Maybe this is just to, like, kind of stretch that Game Pass value out month over month. So
that's another great point.
After October, when Call of Duty comes out, you're like, oh, or November or December when Indiana Jones comes out, and you're like, oh, I should cancel. You're like,
I really like
wait,
that point.
I do got Avowed coming in February, so maybe I'll hold on to my subscription.
I really like that point. They need to be extremely solid with their release cadence, right? Mm-hmm. And so if you have one a month, or at the very worst, one every 2 months, that's a much more valuable thing than two things coming out. Yeah, I like that point. That's a good point.
In question, because I should probably know this, but, like, when it comes to, like, Shattered Space and Diablo 4, are those Game Pass games? Like, are the expansions considered?
Starfield, I want to say. I mean, Starfield is, oh yeah, Diablo is fucking first party now too. Yeah, maybe we should know that as podcasters. I don't know. I would say yes, personally. It'd be weird to have, I don't know, to have it just not loaded into one single package.
I don't think people know, and I don't think they've said it. Yeah, because people are asking, because the Vessel of Hatred is $40. So
unfortunately, I'm not sure if we'll get a discount.
I'm assuming they're not, because, like, you get the base game
if
for
it isn't
free.
the seeds we sowed. Well. Confusion, you say?
Yeah, I would assume they're not, because, again, you get the base game, so
it's true.
Why wouldn't you
That's
just
an extra way to Oh, you played Diablo 4 and you loved it, right? Here, buy this.
pay $40
And then they release it in a year.
that's tricky too, because again you're buying something for a game you technically don't own.
Sorry, I threw up in my mouth a little bit. All right. Well, Avowed. Man, I was that time that game first got shown, I was excited for it a lot more than I am now. I was like, oh, sick, like dark, gritty, dungeons, dragons, swords, awesomeness, and then I don't know, just that first unveiling of it, I was like, oh, that can't be what this is.
That can't be what this is. Yeah, that's a hard one. I like Obsidian. They make good games, but yeah, that one is.
But yeah, it was the same. Outer Wilds. The Outer Worlds.
Yeah.
Same thing. Super pumped for it. Ooh, Fallout in space, kind of weird thing. And then like played, I was like, it's really good writing, but in terms of engaging gameplay, I wasn't really high on it. So.
Yeah, I could not complete it. I got
that's rare for you.
Yeah, I got off the first world and I stopped. It was just one of those things where I'm like, I'm not feeling this, and then you get to a new area and it's like quest.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
nope,
I'm done. All right, on to our next news item. Game Informer, the publication in the United States tied to GameStop, I believe GameStop owns them, is closing down after 33 years. This was announced abruptly on August 1st. The entire staff has been laid off. What do you think about Game Informer? Was it your favorite magazine in the heyday?
So I don't know if this is bad form. I was never a magazine kid. I only have ever gotten Game Informer. I think I got Game Pro for like a year, maybe when I was a kid, when you would be in middle school and you'd do the dumb fundraising things and that. But I was never a Nintendo Power, any of that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, I admittedly kind of dig Game Informer. I mean, I would always go to GameStop and they'd bug you about the thing, the pro membership, and I'd be like, yeah, because I trade in shit, so I'll do it and I'll get that. And then, well, do you want Game Informer? Is that $15 a year? Sure.
Right.
Like you can throw it there, and then I'm excited to see, and I like just seeing scores. So, yeah, I don't know, I like it. I'm cool with it.
Well, at one point it was tied to that GameStop Pro membership. Like if you did that, you got the magazine automatically.
Yeah.
So
and then even when they separate them, and I think it was $15, I was like, because they're like, you can do it digitally, or I was like, no, I like just having it.
Right.
But every once in a while, like you'd open it up and it'd be like, hey, here's the top 100 video game levels of all time, and me on this show, I love lists. I love saying this is better than that, and then getting mad that they have the wrong opinion. And so, opening it up and seeing that kind of stuff and the review scores, there's just something nostalgic to it. And so, yeah, this was kind of a, every day we go forward, the digital world takes over a little bit stronger, right? I think I saw something that one of the big publishers, I don't know who it was, said that I think it was Capcom, said 90% of their games are now sold digitally. And I'm sure that number includes all the small games that don't even have physical copies. Like even like Kunitsugami doesn't have a physical copy. But every day we get a little bit closer to a completely digital world. So I'm always sad when I'm a physical movie guy. I loathe the streaming services, so it's just another part of my physical world going away.
Yeah, I mean, in 2011, Game Informer was the third largest magazine in the U.S.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Beating publications like Sports Illustrated, Time.
Damn.
Video games were huge.
Still are, but different.
Yeah, and so
you can get my son to open up one of these. Be like, I don't care. But is there a Roblox or Roblox
feature?
Sorry, he wants Robux so much that I can't keep him straight. Yeah, and they'll be like, oh, this is stupid. Oh, who's this Sephiroth guy? I don't know.
Right.
I don't care.
Yeah, but yeah, to your point, it's just nice to have I don't know. Again, we're older, physical media, physical books. And
it just lets you appreciate the artistry, and you might get some cool.
Yeah, how in an article now do you just breeze past screenshots of the game as far as you look in the game form and it's like a full page spread and you're like, holy cow.
Especially if you get a cover of something like God of War Ragnarok cover, right, and you get this big in-depth thing about it and you can kind of see see if there's anything you haven't gleaned from the news coverage on the websites or anything like that. So it was just another nice place to go. And I gotta say, one of the most it's not funny, it's actually kind of sad, but it's one thing to kill it off, but like, did you see that if you try to go to their website now, it's just a landing page?
Yeah,
that like goes
all
right
their
to,
content's gone.
yeah, like goes to GameStop, like a landing page there, and like all the archives and shit's gone too. It's like it just got Thanos snapped out of midair.
Yeah, that is the upsetting point. If I had worked, especially if I had worked there and I had like public articles written.
Like, look at that like big power up, like a Super Mario Wonder cool thing, and I don't know. Yeah, it was just.
Yeah, if I had an article on there and little features that I had written and they're just gone, I'd be upset. Like, and to that point of like how well Game Informer did, like getting the cover was huge. Like games wanted to be on the cover of not just Game Informer, but all the other magazines. That was a big deal. That's why you kind of see like a digital version now with IGN First, covering Star Wars Outlaws this month. Yeah, it was a big deal. It meant a lot. I believe someone was telling a story about when someone else paid to get the cover.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
sure. I mean,
another publisher
just gets your name out there immediately.
Yeah. So
bye. R.I.P.
Yeah. Another site.
So is there any magazines left? Like what?
No.
What else is there?
No, I don't think so. Maybe Edge. The UK one.
Going back to your earlier question, did you have a magazine of choice?
It was definitely Game Informer when it was tied to GameStop. No, I don't. There were so many. Like you would go to like a local like Barnes and Noble here in the United States, and there were just so many of them. And you would just pick it up by who had. I always liked the better paper. Like if it felt cheap, I didn't like the magazine and
glossy. Give me that gloss.
And then just a bigger magazine was always nice too. Like as size wise, not the 11x7, but it just.
Did you do that too? I remember being a kid. There was a Barnes and Noble by my house, and my mom would always make me and my sister walk the dog for like an obscene amount of time after school, like an hour and a half, and like we weren't allowed to get back into the house until that hour and a half. And obviously, that's a long ways for an 11-year-old kid.
Right.
So like we would just go to Barnes and Noble. One of us would sit out with the dog for a little bit. The other one goes in, peruses some whatever they want to see.
Yeah.
I always remember going. I went over to the magazine section, and just looked at all the video game stuff.
Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah. It's another end of an era. Just like 33 years. I couldn't even believe it that it had been around that long.
Since I was 2. It's crazy. That is actually pretty crazy.
Yeah. All right. You ready for the big story?
I want to see if I can find the first Game Informer cover. First Game Informer cover. Don't know. Okay, go. Good content right there.
I'm sure it was an NES game.
It reviewed NHL Hockey for Genesis, Decap Attack. Do you remember Decap Attack?
No.
Look up a real quick. Look it up. I bet you'll remember it. Sonic was on the cover. Look at that. Yep. Decap Attack, Micro Machines, and NHL Hockey was reviewed. Features 3 Sonic
I don't remember this at all.
3 Sonic Super Tips for Sonic the Hedgehog. And you had some ads for a hot seat controller for the NES. Man, yeah, not a lot in there, the first episode, but some cleaning tips, how to repair your NES and cartridges. Oh, man.
All right. You ready? Final story here.
Yeah.
Involving Sony first party studio, which continues to be a wild thing to think about. Bungie.
Yep.
We learned, I believe that was also August 1st. Boy, what a dark day that was. Layoffs there. Again, Bungie is one of the most talented studios in the world. Makers of a small franchise called Halo. Mm-hmm. And they kind of took that franchise, Halo 1 through 3, and then ODST and Reach. And then they decided to do their own thing, and that's where we got Destiny and Destiny 2 and, expansions earlier just this year. What is it? Final Shape?
Final Shape.
And, we saw last year in the live service Sony PlayStation Showcase that their next game is Marathon. So Bungie is a big deal. Do you remember how much Sony paid for
3 and change. It was like 3.2 bill.
Yep, $3.2 billion.
Yep. Whoops.
Insanity. And Bungie's a huge studio. That's why they cost so much. They're around, I think a year ago they were around 1,300 employees. That is a huge studio.
Well, and I think when it happened, they said like about $1 billion of it was for specifically retention, which makes this whole story a little funnier.
Well, when you think about a studio with that many people, just the yearly salary alone has got to be hundreds of millions of dollars for that.
Yeah, you got 1,000 people making $100,000 a year. I mean, that's a lot. It's either 100 million or this is probably something like that.
Yeah.
Lots of zeros.
Yeah. So we got an announcement from Bungie themselves. This came from the CEO of Bungie, Jim Parsons.
Jim Parsons or Pete Parsons? Jim Parsons is from The Big Bang Theory, I think.
Pete Parsons, right? Boy, it's funny how your brain
I got you.
It's funny how your brain just takes things and just runs with it.
I recognize that name.
Yes, Pete Parsons.
Sorry, just looking up a picture of Jim Parsons. All right.
And he goes into that, they've been running in the red for a while. The expansion before this one, Lightfall.
Yep.
Didn't perform very well. And even though this latest one, critically, that's one of the best reviewed expansions of the year in the 90s, that sold less than Lightfall. And so the return on the live service game is less and less and less.
Yeah, nobody's jumping into the final shape that didn't play every other one.
Right.
It doesn't happen.
Right. So they announced that beginning today, 220 of our roles will be eliminated, representing roughly 17% of our studio's workforce. First, we are deepening our integration with Sony Interactive Entertainment, working to integrate 155 of our roles, roughly 12%, into Sony Interactive Entertainment over the next few quarters. Sony has worked tirelessly with us to identify roles for as many of our people as possible, enabling us together to save a great deal of talent that would otherwise have been affected by the reduction in force. Second, we are working with PlayStation Studios leadership to spin out one of our incubation projects, an action game set in a brand new science fantasy universe, to form a new studio within PlayStation Studios to continue its promising development. And as a side note, this is called Project Gummy Bears, according to Jason Schreier.
Great name. Great project.
Employees affected by these layoffs will be getting 3 months' pay / benefits, but will lose their Sony stock from the acquisition.
No.
And there's a lot of great work out there by Steven Totillo, Jason Schreier, and Nick Rubin of Rock Paper Shotgun. But let's just start off with the layoffs. What do you think of this?
What's to say anymore? Wow, how to even pick that apart? It's an unfortunate reality that comes with consolidation and cutting costs. And when you're a company that's running in the red, I mean, there was that report, as you mentioned, that was talking about how bad it was. It was like they missed their profit goal by like 45% or something like that. Which, like, when you're talking about large corporations and businesses, that's not something you easily recover from. No. And so you knew something was going to happen. And, even after these 220 left, there's even reports coming out that, like, no matter how well the final shape did, it could have been the biggest thing in the world. And critically it was. It's like at a 92 or 93. It wouldn't have mattered how well it did. It's just this was inevitable. And it's unfortunate. But I do think that this is ultimately a good thing.
Yeah.
Not to sound too Sony fanboyish, because I bet if this was happening on the Xbox side, I'd be like, "Rah, Phil Spencer's an idiot." But, they're putting Herman Holst in charge, right? Who has obviously a ton on his plate. But if there's one guy that was able to kind of take a studio, reinvent them a little bit, and push out a high-quality game, that he did that with Guerrilla and going from Killzone to Horizon. So he's somebody who can oversee a project very well. I think Bungie's executive staff, the Pete Parsons and whoever else, I don't have a lot of information on them. I've never dug in too deep, but from the forums and the people talking about it, I've always felt that nobody likes them over there and that they're kind of running this thing into the ground. It seems like they intentionally led Sony poorly with how much money they made prior to the purchase, so it seems like they're a little disingenuous. Lots of inside reporting about the developers talking about how much they suck. So I think this is going to be from their mouth. This is how much they suck. So I think this will be something that it hurts for now. I wish all these people that are now without a job, the best, and hopefully this spin-off thing that they're doing, this is something that, is a win-win for all involved. But, it just always sucks when people lose their jobs, and, we're breaking records at least. We broke the record again for most job losses in a year. We'll keep it going.
Yeah, I mean, despite the accolades that Bungie has received, they've always kind of been a studio in some kind of turmoil. They've had issues with the composer of the Halo soundtrack. They left Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
Destiny 1 was full of development issues.
Left Activision.
Yeah, exactly. They partnered with Activision on that game, and Destiny 2 also had tons of issues before it kind of finally coalesced into what it is now, this live service game that they've had a lot of issues, I think, from a management standpoint as a studio, and it's just eventually catches up to you.
Well, I remember when Hiroki Totoki was doing his rounds of all the studios too, he specifically called out Bungie, saying there's a lack of accountability here. They're running wild with budgets. There doesn't seem to be a lot of tightening around the edges that you kind of need. So I think Bungie was a bad purchase by Sony. It's one of the rare bad purchases they've made. I don't think it's a lost cause at this point, but they definitely do need to reinvent themselves. And I'm sorry if you mentioned this in your lead-in. Did you say that they're now officially in Sony's funnel of first-party teams?
No, I didn't. They did not really. I mean,
that's the way I understood it.
I mentioned that they're kind of integrating more with Sony itself and less independent. But
yeah, well, and that's what I think they're kind of positioning. Like when Bungie got bought originally, there was verbiage in there that if they don't hit goals, that Sony could come in and take them over, right? And that's what they've been trying to avoid this whole time. Didn't work out. Sony's there now, so it seems like they're going to just try and transition Bungie from being this individual silo that operates outside of PlayStation Studios, rope them in, and just hopefully have another killer fucking first-person shooting team that can satisfy that lack of first-person shooting games and things that have been kind of lacking from Sony forever. So, I think it's hopefully some short-term pain, long-term gain type stuff, but, we'll see. It's they got to start getting some sort of profit from these guys. $3.2 billion. Whew. Most they've ever spent on a purchase by far. So they bought Insomniac for what, $250 million?
Yeah.
So
and it sounds like they're going to start winding down on Destiny itself. They're not going to do the big expansions every year now. They're going to go for smaller updates. The game will continue to receive updates, but it won't be like the $40 expansion every year going forward. So I mean, if they can release if Marathon can hit, or which according to Jason Schreier that game is struggling to to coalesce into a video game. But
it's there's too much.
There's
too many of these, and we don't know how to differentiate ourselves.
Yeah, we didn't even get into Project Payback was another thing that they were working on that they canceled, which was a third-person Destiny spin-off game that was separate from the main Destiny franchises that they were working on that got canceled earlier this year. So, and Bungie's still huge. I mean, after all this, there'll be 850 people, it says. So,
and I think, I do believe that despite my proclivities for playing on PlayStation, that they are the best ownership team. If I were a developer, that's the family I would want to be in, just in terms of just culture and how well they seem to allow their teams to do what they want. Obviously Herman had to swoop in and do this, but I think they have a bright future, and I don't think it's honest. Bungie's had a rough couple years, but that can turn around very, very quickly. I thought the Final Shape would have maybe done a little bit to help this, though, but obviously didn't.
Nope. All right. We're good. That's my last news story. So
I'm great. I don't know about you.
All right. Let's turn things around. Let's talk about Gamescom. It is 2 weeks away, August 20th. Geoff Keighley will be on stage to talk opening night live. Another one of his showcases. Expect trailers, gameplay reveals, the whole nine, and let's get some predictions in. But first up, let's talk about what he said so far, or what developers have been teasing that they'll be there. First up, 2K, return of the storied franchise. Civ 7 will have a gameplay premiere there.
Fool us once. No.
Supermassive Games, the makers of Until Dawn and The Quarry, are teasing that they will be there in some form, probably to announce their next project. Tajir Studio, the makers of Little Nightmares 1 and 2, will be at opening night live. Monster Hunter World will be playable at this event for attendees.
Wild.
Kingdom Come.
Hold on. Not World.
Oh, Wild.
Thank
You're right.
you. It's important. That's an old game.
And then teased earlier today, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 will also be there at opening night live. And so
Very European game.
yeah. and Xbox, if you follow us at Joystick Spot on Twitter, you saw that, hey, Xbox is going to have a booth and a live stream where they're going to show over 50 games. That's nothing to scoff at. That's a lot of video games. I don't even know if I can name 50 upcoming games.
Upcoming that'd be tough. I was like, you can name 50 games.
But so let's get into some predictions. As you mentioned, Gamescom is very European focused. It takes place in Cologne, Germany. So expect, developers from that region to show up. But what do you got, John? What are you hoping to see? What do you think?
Well, first,
what does Keighley got?
Let me get from you, how many predictions do you have so that I can space these out properly?
This is off the cuff.
Okay.
But I'll just say my main prediction is a bunch of games that fit that moniker that are coming out later this year.
Okay. So I'll start with my first easy one. I think we're going to see, because anytime you get these conferences, as you just said, anything coming out in the next month or two is going to get a lot of coverage. So I think we'll see a ton of Warhammer Space Marine 2.
Yep, that's easy.
That one's coming out early September. It's got a weird amount of buzz to it. People, every time they see it, they're like, oh, this looks fucking dope. And
yep.
I'm hopeful for it. You played the original. I didn't. But it does just seem kind of like another one of those lots and lots of enemies, hordes, Vermintide, Darktide, those kind of games, which they're very fun for short periods of time, but I don't know how sticky they are for me personally. But I think this is where we'll see the final. Just here's the final trailer. Come play our game.
Yeah, I mean that game has multiplayer and co-op.
Yeah, it's like three-player campaign co-op, which would be kind of fun.
Yep. Yeah, and I'll just in that same vein, I had Space Marine 2, but Planet Coaster 2, Frostpunk 2, Stalker 2. These games are definitely going to be shown that week. They may not be at the opening night live thing, but they're all coming, and they're all, again, fit that they're very European focused games. So
sure. All right. So for my second one, I think people are unfortunately going to be disappointed once again. I don't think we're going to see Hollow Knight. I have a dumb feeling in my balls, but
is Team Cherry American?
Australian or New Zealand. It's like one of the two. It's just three dudes. But I'm hopeful that I will see something personally that I want to see as we finally get a date for Mina the Hollower. I'm hoping. This is my last chance, Nick. I've drafted this game the last 2 years. It's turning into my version of Hollow Knight for you, but from Yacht Club Games, makers of Shovel Knight. We got a tease. Like, it was originally supposed to release last December. For those who don't know, it's a very retro-inspired Game Boy, Game Boy Advance style?
Yeah.
Or something like that. Right. I don't know. Yeah, it's got a very old school feel to it, but I know it's going to be great. They put a teaser out earlier this year, which had a very Halloween feel to it, with lots of cauldrons and things. So I'm hoping this is my last chance. Like, hey guys, here it is. It's coming out this fall. Go play it. So I'm hoping for Mina the Hollower.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's a very niche game. Nobody's going to really probably be super excited to see it, but like I will be. So
yeah, and hopefully, with his Xbox booth saying 50 plus games, I mean, like we said, like any game announced should certainly be there. But yeah, that seems to be an easy one. But
I don't know. I just don't feel like Hollow Knight. Like, I feel like whenever Hollow Knight rears his head back up, it's just going to be a Team Cherry post. It's just like, whenever it is. Like, because I feel like the moment they're ready, they're like, we just need to tell people instead of wait for whatever the next conference is.
Right. But it's been kind of this slow build up because especially with Hollow Knight, it got a store page. It's got to be coming. Like, it's been years now.
Yeah, sure does. Sure has been. Yeah, they're from Adelaide, South Australia is where Team Cherry's from.
All right. My next prediction is Dragon Age the Veilguard will get a big blowout here. Again, it's been tied. It was at the Xbox Showcase earlier this year. It still does not have a release date. Speaking of Game Informer, it was the last Game Informer cover. So we got to get that final push, a new story trailer with the date. And it'll either be at Opening Night Live or part of this Xbox.
All right. Kind of going off of our Xbox conversation, and I kind of just noticed this while we were doing that, but we're going to get the dates for Shattered Space Indie and Towerborn. I think that's if this is going to be Xbox's fall showing out, like there should be no reason at the end of this that we have a TBA 2024. So like I can't imagine not having that ready to go at this point. So we'll get those dates.
Yeah, you can't have these big blowouts for these fall games and not have, same.
My son's school system's calling me. He's not even in school. What is this?
Yeah, and so those are kind of the make sense predictions to me. Yeah. I would love to see, CD Projekt Red there and just tease maybe just some.
Yeah, I'll have to leave the room. Your boner will be too big.
Some concepts for Witcher 4, but again, they're redeemed, so they don't really have to play the game. They'll just they'll go at their own cadence. But there is also that Witcher 1 remake, not being done by them. I forget the specific studio and his name, but that has a high chance, I'd say, of being there.
Nothing else.
I wish I knew more European studios. Let's go to like.
Well, I do have two more.
Okay. Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, one more I think is a very good chance of being there is the Alan Wake 2 DLC Part 2. Was the Lake House.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's still slated for this year. But my big this is what I was walking with you earlier. I was like, I have a thought, like just because.
Okay.
Piggybacking off of how badly you said that Phil Spencer probably wishes they had a Fallout property coming. I think that the moment that show picked up, they already had something going, I would imagine, but they're like, all hands on deck, fucking go, Fallout, we need Fallout. I'm going to say they're going to announce some sort of first-time Fallout in Europe thing. I don't know where it would be, but it could be like a Fallout Germany, not done by Bethesda, could be an Obsidian.
Wow, this is a real shout out there.
Yeah, but I think they are just over there right now, they're like, we need Fallout. This thing captured the audiences in mindshare.
What about a smaller announcement, like a remake of Fallout 3?
Maybe, but I'm just kind of trying to go off the European angle right now and give it a more. It's like Fallout is this intensely American thing. It's always taken place in America. Why not? Let's try and expand it out a little bit now. We could maybe rope in some sort of worldwide story. Again, shot in the dark type thing, but if Xbox has never been shy to announce things really early. I don't know if they'll ever learn their lesson from that or not. But I could see them trying to drum up some excitement, be like Fallout Germany or Fallout fucking.
Who's doing it?
I could see Obsidian seems to be that team that can just make shit happen.
Right.
What are they working on? I mean, obviously they're wrapping up with Avowed. I think they probably have something else going too. They seem to always
Grounded.
Have that. Yeah, but again, that's going to be just a small.
I mean, the sequel to Outer Worlds.
Yep, they got that. But they seem to be Xbox's version of Insomniac, where you're like, how are you guys? Like they did Pentiment, and they did this, where they could have some smaller teams, where it's like if we can get some guys spinning up the world and whatnot, they obviously have a very talented writing team over there. I could see them making some sort of smaller game, smaller New Vegas type title that's just satiates people until they can get Fallout 5 out there. Because if they're gonna wait until Fallout 5. When's that, Nick? That's what we gotta get something.
Yeah, that's why I'm thinking if there's going to be new game announcements from Xbox, they'll be smaller, a Double Fine indie game, or Obsidian working on a Pentiment 2 or a similar game, just a bunch of smaller.
Pentiment 2, Pentiment 2.
A lot
It's
of
very European. It's very
a lot of announcements for smaller indie games because again their focus will definitely be on gameplay for Avowed, gameplay for indie, all the other games that we just mentioned, Ara, History Untold, and
I just know they
Age of
love
Mythology.
to have the thing that people go,
Yeah.
"Whoa."
Yeah, I think so, but I think it'll be of the smaller variety. I don't think you're gonna get like if there is any Fallout news, it would be a remake of 3, I would think.
Which I would also fucking love. Like I would love that more than anything else, honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have any interest in going forward with the Fallout franchise, but if I can relive 3 as I remembered it, that's good for me. That's all I need.
You might not.
I know
you
it's
might
gonna
have
be
the rose-colored glasses on.
Yeah, and probably, but
I
like
remember it.
I don't have time to play new 100-hour RPGs, right? I
Right.
don't have that anymore. It's gone. It's buried
gone.
7 feet underground. So, something that I can like pop in and be like, hey, it's that big mutant that thinks he's Thomas Jefferson again, or hey, it's that supermarket that I remember going through. I don't know.
Okay.
Just as long as I can get past that first hour being in the vault, because that's just boring.
Now I forget. Did Sony say they're skipping Gamescom or?
I think so, because I mean they were at the China Joy thing and people freaked out, but Sony Gamescom. Yeah, they're seemingly skipping it, officially skipping it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense, right? Because we think they'll do something in September.
Yeah, but I was kind of,
Hopeful for Astrobot or something.
no, I would just think they would show up with like more Concord or something. Like if we were going to see I know you said that those games have been shown enough that they don't need yet another appearance at an event, but
Yeah.
or at least the state of play for themselves. But you would think like a Concord trailer, at opening night live, that kind of, because they really haven't talked about the battle pass.
I could see them if anything. Hey, we're going to announce our here's our next vignette. It's for everybody at Gamescom. Here you go.
Right,
See
or
something like that.
Their next battle pass into whatever their next character is post launch, but they're not going to be there. Oh
No.
well.
Nope, they don't like to have fun. They don't like to give us stuff to talk about.
Well, like we've been saying, if they're planning a big showcase in September where they're going to blow out this PS5 Pro, then why?
Yeah, there's no reason.
And why do Gamescom at all? But
Yep.
it's Gamescom, opening night live, a Keighley event. Is Kojima there?
No. I mean, Death Stranding 2 would be.
No.
Listen. There has to be a limit to it. You can't just.
He'll be there in December when the Game Awards come.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, I don't know any of. Is Metal Gear a worldwide phenomenon? Is it primarily American? Is it like it's really? I feel like it is one of those rare franchises that's everywhere,
Right?
Almost ubiquitously. So, yeah, I'm gonna say he's not there.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Will Metal Gear be there? No, he just mentioned that.
Snake Eater?
I don't think that game's coming this year, so I don't think it is.
No, they are officially got pushed.
Okay.
Yeah, because remember, in our league,
Oh yeah.
you don't want me to say names anymore because people don't know what I'm talking about. So it got pushed.
Yeah. So I think we were looking at the announcements last year, and they were okay.
Yeah.
Again, Gamescom is the weakest one, it seems.
Yeah. Tokyo Game Show, Gamescom, those, even things like that, dude, like really it's just not how it was. It's just never going to be how it was anymore, Nick. I feel like when I was getting into the industry, E3 was obviously the huge one, but Tokyo Game Show and Gamescom and PSX for those couple of years, you could assume you're like, we're going to get some big shit there, but maybe that's also rose-tinted glasses. I don't know.
Right.
But.
And just again going back to talking about Rockstar and output of games, is like development's so different. Like probably we're gonna see a lot of games at Gamescom from developers we've never heard of.
Yeah. Maybe they'll give us the release date for Grand Theft Auto 6.
Yeah. Geoff Keighley's just crying because he's like, I got the biggest announcements ever.
Speaking of big boners.
Yeah, not happening. Not officially. No. That's not an official prediction, but
no.
Are you excited for this at all?
Yeah, I mean, Listen, I've had a rough couple months just of gaming and just life things. I'm gearing up to coach my son's travel baseball team and all sorts of stuff. So I'm just inherently a little malaised on life right now.
Right.
I don't mean to sound too depressing, but so no, I think Astrobot's gonna be snap me back out of it. Is my hope.
Right.
But so no, I'm excited to see it. I'm always excited to. If I can get a couple things, right? If I can get Mina the Hollower and one other thing, I'll be happy.
True.
But I just every once in a while there are these ones where it's man, that was dog shit from top to bottom. I don't think that's how it'll be, but yeah, you said, I think Gamescom is for some reason the weakest feeling of all of them. So.
And we were down on Summer Game Fest, so that'll just tell you. I just again, it's excited for Keighley to be out there to have this stage presence, but yeah, as far as
I think my excitements are
like you said. I think if you walked away from this thing with one game that you're fuck yeah.
I think going forward, I will always get excited for Summer Games Fest, even though I know it can disappoint me. The Game Awards, even though I know it can disappoint me. PlayStation showcases and Xbox showcases. I think those are the 4 that will get me to go okay, let me make sure I got a pizza and something ready to go to watch this. But other than that, it's usually kind of just let's see what happens. Maybe I'll get pleasantly surprised.
Sure. All right. Well, that's all I got on that. So we can move into our final topic here, which is some catching up on some more video games we've been playing.
Yeah, I want to hear you first.
I'm going first.
Yeah, I want to know about this game. I don't get texts from you often saying buy this and play this. So
yeah. So as discussed last week, I didn't know what the heck my next game was going to be, and while John did talk me into playing more of Dank and Rampa V3. I got through the first trial in that game and was that was okay, but it didn't blow me away. I was oh yeah, I got the murderer, whatever.
Let's kill him.
Yeah. That I was just I got this, and because of PlayStation Stars, I'm sitting on $20.
I didn't even think about this. Why didn't you buy Balatro, you idiot? What are you doing?
You never told me how much you've played that game.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't. Yeah. Remind me tonight. I'll try and check.
Yeah, 60 hours in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just looking for another game to play, but not looking for a big commitment. I appreciate pal of the show Jesse recommending BioShock, and that I did download that and think.
I think that might be in both of our near futures. When he said that too, I was yeah, I should really fucking do that.
And I was leaning towards 2, especially because I haven't played it at all, and it's got the Minerva's Den DLC, which is supposed to be incredible. But I was just I was on OpenCritic, and this game called Thank Goodness You're Here was really high up there as a 86, which is a great. Mm-hmm. It came out August 1st, and it's from Cole Supper, which is a 2-person studio. And
Coal, COAL?
What?
Coal as in burning some coal? That's
yeah.
Okay. Supper.
And it had this voice cast that included Matt Berry, if you're familiar with him. He was
really?
He was in the Fallout show and
What We Do in Shadows.
Yeah, What We Do in Shadows, and just one of the funnier people out there.
I just watched something with him in it. What the fuck was that? Keep talking, sorry. I don't want to derail you.
And what is Thank Goodness You're Here? It is a self-proclaimed slapformer, not to be confused with platformer, a slapformer, because you play as a little dude, and this is a quirky British game through and through, who can
Cole Supper, yeah, definitely British.
All he can do is jump and slap people. And what you go on is a 3-hour adventure. You're a salesman that's sent to this small town, and you're sitting there waiting for a meeting with the mayor, and you kind of just leave and just meet all the townsfolks and kind of help them with their issues, and you'll hear "Thank Goodness You're Here" about a dozen times or so as you keep walking to people, and it's a hard game to explain because it's basically what would we consider like a Return to Monkey Island? It's an
adventure game.
Yeah, it's an adventure game with light platforming, and just you're there for the ride. You have no idea where this is going, and it's very British. It's extremely funny.
Okay.
I probably laughed out loud just within the first like couple minutes so much. They're
Hard to do, man. Hard to make a funny game. There's
Exactly.
not a lot of examples of them.
Exactly, and it starts with this ad for the town too, and it's talking about peens. They're not quite peas, they're not quite beans. They're somewhere in between.
I thought you said peeing. I'm like, that's weird, but peens, that's way funnier.
And yeah, your protagonist does not talk, but he's a silly looking guy, and just it just really landed really hard. Like I just from start to finish, it doesn't let up to the very end, and it has again 3 hours to complete.
3 hours of platinum.
Yeah, 3 hours to platinum. Yeah, so it's my 7th platinum of the year, 41st platinum overall. I had to go back and play through a little bit of it to complete the platinum. But again, it just takes just over 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours to complete on your first playthrough. So
Yeah.
that's nothing. It is $20. That is so that the price to how much game you're getting, that's a fair debate on this one.
Yeah, I will say, and there's probably no reason for me to feel this way, but like the idea that it's a 2-man team makes me a little more inclined to pay it, just because it's like, oh, you guys really crushed it. Like you made a exceptionally well made product. You released it, $20. That seems fair, But like if it was like EA, be like, yeah, get fucked.
Right.
Like,
right. So yeah, again, this has the strongest of recommendations for me. Like I said, like John was saying, a funny video game is hard to find, and one this funny, it's something. It's certainly special, and it's got the Far Cry 4 moment. If you wait in the office at the beginning for like 15 minutes, you can end the game right there.
Really? What game? You said what game did that?
Far Cry 4.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, I thought you said Fallout for some reason. Yeah.
And that's a trophy, of course. So,
is that why you had to replay it?
Yeah, that was one I had to go back and get. That was one of those ones where I walked out and I'm like, I bet that is a trophy to just sit there and fucking wait, and I didn't do it, and you couldn't go back inside. So, it's just like a snowball too. Like things you do in the beginning just kind of snowball and snowball and snowball, and you get the bigger payoff toward the end, and it's just a ridiculous game. It's so good.
Yeah, there's no way to make a genre for it, but the way you're talking about this kind of is similar to like something like Stanley Parable, where it's like this incredibly high, well done thing. It's not long, but it's unique, and you're gonna laugh, and you're gonna get maybe something different out of it that another person would, but deep down that it's amazing, right? And that's kind of, I also feel the same about Undertale.
Yeah, that's the other
wasn't quite
one.
for you, but like for me, it was like, I can't explain this, but I'm just going through this smiling, and it's like 3-4 hours. You can get more out of it if you want to. I don't think you can really much with this one, but yeah, I mean, I love a tight 3-hour awesome game. Like What Remains of Edith Finch is another good one.
Right. Yeah.
So I'll probably wait for it to go on sale. I think would probably be my, because I also, this seems like a game that will probably go on sale in like 6 months to a year.
Right.
Once it gets those initial.
Yeah, this has at least, PlayStation. It's on Switch, PC, and PlayStation, but it has PlayStation Extra written all over it.
Yeah.
Eventually, it'll be there and be like an Artful Escape. What Remains of Edith Finch.
Yeah, there's something awesome about those kind of games that you can kind of go like, okay, I will play you. Not now. I'll set you to the side. I haven't forgotten about you. And when I see you, pop back in.
Yeah, add it to your wish list.
Right. Yeah,
at the very least, so when you finish it. But yeah, it's probably 8 out of 10 game for me.
Nice.
It's phenomenal. It's just.
Well, for those who were waiting on pins and needles about what Matt Berry voiced in something I watched, it was the SpongeBob movie. Just so you know. Yes, he was the dolphin Bubbles. Yeah.
He's got such a distinct voice.
He does.
Like instantly, when I came up on his character, I was like, "Oh, there he is."
Hi, Matt.
So yeah, again, nice year of surprises and indie games. Just a good year for indie games.
You're welcome.
You didn't recommend this one.
No, I didn't, but I set you down the path.
You did. My gaming tastes are kind of slowly, more and more indie games year over year for sure.
Yeah. Well, speaking of indie games, and since that's all I have time to play, I got another phone game I want to talk about, as Nick mentioned. This is an oldie but a goodie, and something I don't normally play, which are card games, deck builders, right? And so Slay the Spire came out back in January of 2019, developed by Mega Crit. And I remember first seeing this game when my brother-in-law and sister were living with us for 3 months, and he was playing it on his computer. I was like, that looks like shit. Why would you want to just have a card that tells you what happens and you throw it up there and it just happens? But it's just another one of those examples of an incredibly well-balanced, well-made game that when you start to give it your time and learn the systems and learn everything in it, it becomes incredibly engaging. So
where are you playing this?
my phone.
Oh, okay.
It's another phone game. So that's how I played Into the Breach. And
I'm looking at it right now, and it's like it's never come to PlayStation.
No, wait, yes, it is.
Maybe that changed.
Really? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it has, but
it has to because it was on the store. It was on Extra, I think.
I'm playing on my phone. I think
OpenCritic screwed me.
Gotcha. I think I paid like $5 for it just because when I got into the breach, I was like, this is so perfect on my phone. This is another game that I've wanted to play, but I'm not going to sit in front of a big TV with a controller and play a game like this. I just will never, ever do that. So it was perfect. But what it is, just for those who might not know, it's a deck builder roguelike. So you start your run. You get a choice between 3 different characters. You have your standard physical attack guy, your poison guy, and then kind of a dude who has a very unique move set. So you pick your character, and they're all going to have a different stack of cards that are going to give them different abilities as you go through the game. You start with your basic strikes and defense, and then as you go through, you'll get a lot of different strength cards, different items that modify how you're playing. You know, kind of think like in Binding of Isaac, how you can pick up a thing and it's going to modify the way you're attacking. So you start, you're able to pick whether you want to fight somebody or like go into a secret room, which is going to kind of give you a new ability or modify one of the cards you already have. It's one of those kind of games, right, where every run's going to feel different. There's 3 different worlds. You get to the end of the world, you fight the boss, you go to world 2, get to the end of that one, go to world 3, beat the game, and just kind of do it again. But it's just another example of a game where I'm happy I tried it, and this is why I kind of live my life by the variety is the spice of life mantra, where it's like, I don't care, if a video game is, something like The Return of Obra Dinn, right? Whereas you look at it and you're like, what the fuck is that? How could that be fun? Let me give it a shot, though, and see what it's about. It's why I like to try everything, because you never know what's going to really vibe with you. In a million years, I never would have thought Into the Breach would vibe with me. In a million years, I never thought that I would want to play a card builder. And
you're the card guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's
on the show now.
I guess
I'm
so.
Passing the crown.
I'm going to pass it right back to you because I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I'll get into card games, but this one, it just does a very good job, like all roguelikes, where you have some runs that are kind of I'm going through the skin of my teeth, and then sometimes you just get the perfect combination of things, and you feel like a god, and you get through it, and you feel like you're making progress. So what happened when I beat it the first time with a character is it like went to this other screen and it like lit up one light bulb, right? And then I beat it with another character to lit up the other one, and then there's a third light bulb that I got to do, and I'm like, okay, once I do that, I beat the game, right? And so I beat it with all 3 characters, and I did the light bulbs, they all lit up, and then nothing happened. I'm like, what the fuck? So I found out that you have to beat the game with every character, then you got to go through and beat it again while doing this specific set of things to get different keys to get you to allow you to fight the 4th thing, which is the heart. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm done. I don't want to do that. And really? it kind of sparked a thing in my head of like, you know what? Roguelikes have maybe the stupidest set of win conditions of any video game, where it's like you go through these roguelike games, and every single time you go, I beat it. And I go, no, you didn't. You didn't do it in the right way, right? Oh, I beat the Binding of Isaac. I beat Mom. No, you didn't. You got to go beat the heart now. Oh, I beat the heart. No, you're not done yet. You got to go now beat, I don't even remember. Same thing with Hades. And I love Hades, not knocking Hades, right? But you beat the game. No, you didn't. And it's the same one. And it's like, it is kind of an annoying little system that I like it in one sense because it allows you to keep getting more out of the game if you want it. But sometimes, man, I just want to see the credits roll. So I'll probably still pick around with it and mess around with it just whenever I'm in my garage doing what I do at night. But it's got great music. It's got.
Is this a Netflix game?
No, I think, like I said, I had to buy it for $5. I think.
Okay.
So, but you've never played this one, right?
No,
okay.
I've never played it.
So Can you tell me real quick, like, what is the average Hearthstone match? Like, what are you trying to do? Because that is something, like, I like how Slay the Spire, it's not a weird type of gameplay system, but it did take me a second to get used to. And once I did, I was like, oh, that's simple. But, like, I got to imagine every card game is wholly unique in how you get a win scenario, right? Like, I think of, what's the Witcher game? Gwent. That's a wholly unique game. Inscription, wholly unique game. Queen's Blood, wholly unique card game. It's like you have this ability to kind of really, it's not, card games can't get lumped into the same thing. It's like they can be so unique. So, like, what is the object of Hearthstone?
Well, it's you and your opponent have health, and it's to get the health to 0.
Right.
So depending on the deck you're working with, it can be like 5 to 20 minutes.
So you're like kind of like, some cards will have like defense buffs and some cards will like just like affect. Okay, so maybe they are kind of simple in that way, but that is kind of what I like, where it's like, and Into the Breach is the same way. It's like there is something satisfying about a strategy game that tells me what my enemy is going to do before I have the ability to counteract it, right? And that's what this one does, is you got your enemies on the right. It'll have a little symbol above their head that's like sword 6, weird little swirly do, and like sword 6 means they're going to attack you for 6, right? Or swirly do, we're going to corrupt you. And so you can kind of play with your deck and like, oh, okay, they're going to hit me for 14 total this time. Okay, I'm going to throw up 2 defenses, bump that up to 10. Then I'm going to hit them with an attack that will allow them to get hit with like 1 thunder every time. And you just, it's very satisfying when you get in a rhythm and you get a build with a character. That's just kind of like gives you the win case scenario. So, it's cool stuff, man. It's cool stuff. I like I said, I don't know if I'm going to go back to it, but it is a game. If I'm going to evaluate it based on what it is, it's an 8. It's a solid 8. I'm even leaning towards giving it a 9, just because, like, if you're a deck builder guy, if you like these kind of games, first of all, I bet you've played this at this point, because it is one of those top tier ones. I know I'm bringing this 5 years.
Very well reviewed.
Yeah, bringing it 5 years late, so sorry about that, but
sequel on the way.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, there's a sequel on the way. It's another one of those examples of a game like, oh, sick. Now I'm have something to be excited for when that one comes. Again, I don't think I would ever want to buy it on PlayStation and play it on a big screen and like dedicate my whole. It's the same reason I won't play like Balatro on my TV really that much. It just doesn't feel right. Right. It's just like I don't know. I want to be more interactive, but yeah, it's great. I mean, if you like strategy games and you want to throw it on your phone, it's the only way I seem to be able to play video games anymore. So
well, that's what I was gonna ask.
Maybe you can.
Your new lifestyle. You find yourself like. What drew you to this game and to spend real money on it?
So I bought this game probably like 4 years ago. Oh. But like different. I've talked about this on the show. Who cares? It's legal here. My routine is I got to get high first before I play games, right? So I go outside. My wife doesn't want me to smoke in the house. Understandable. Get that. I don't want it smelling up my house either. So I just get my stuff and grab my phone and go outside and you smoke my thing and play that while I'm doing it, and it's usually like 15, 20 minutes, and I get a run in, and if I have a really good run, sometimes I'll sit out there and pack another one. I don't know, and just go from there. But I've found this weird little niche, because like I can't take my portal outside because then I lose my Wi-Fi, so I can't use that, which would be great if I could.
Get a Wi-Fi extender.
Yeah. It seems like so. Hey, Kylie, can I get a Wi-Fi extender so I can play Portal outside for this 20-minute segment every day? But it's just there's certain games that I think have an absolute home on the phone. You should not be playing Resident Evil 4 on your phone. Right. You should not be playing Hades is a Netflix game. You probably shouldn't be playing that on your phone, but something like this, more than cool to play it there, and I'll probably keep dabbling around with it. But if something like FTL came to the phones, right, or Balatro came, like that's the perfect kind of thing to just kind of sink in, do a run, do a whatever, and just chip away at something. So.
Right. It's just the market, like it's so saturated. I can even point you to like, oh, this is a good game on mobile. Like I have no fucking clue.
No, I don't. I would be shocked to find a game that would fit. That would be a game I would want to play consistently that isn't on not a port, right? It's not something that's already existing somewhere else, right? It's a good place to play certain kind of games, but if you're making a game specifically for the phone, it's going to be riddled with bullshit. So So yeah, it's cool. I like it.
Okay.
Glad I played it.
Yeah. I don't know why. Like, 89 on OpenCritic. It's
Mhm.
like one of the.
I mean, if you were still a card boy, I would say absolutely do it. Just to kind of get your opinion on because I don't really have any other.
And it is on Extra. I looked, and it's weird that I just never even when I had Extra earlier this year, it was just not like.
Well, you really turned into a Hearthstone hater, like right, like that almost ruined your lunches and everything.
They combined Hearthstone with Marvel. I couldn't get into that either. So
dude, Nick over here was just watching people play Hearthstone. He wasn't even playing. So I'm like, dude, you gotta fix that. So I think Nick's good at ripping band-aids off and not looking back. But it is still like, if you ever have that itch, I would say, it's not gonna ever feel dated. It looks good. The music's good. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
All right. Well, that's it. That's all we got.
There it is. Another
All
one
right.
in the books. 106.
106. What do we got to tease? I mean,
I'm still doing Danganronpa 2. I just also finished my first class trial, which went on forever, but I am still very much enjoying it. I haven't hit that point where I go, I really don't want to be playing this anymore. Like I'm engaged with it, so I will be doing that still. I gotta head up to a baseball tournament about 4 hours away with my son.
Nothing.
So well, on the other side though, maybe if there's a Switch game that I've had in my background, that I have, maybe I'll test my Portal out, see if I can, I finally figured out my PlayStation, so if I can get it connected to a Wi-Fi at the hotel, like I don't see any reason why I couldn't play more Danganronpa.
Yeah,
it might be. I
might
might get more opportunity to do it then than I would at home, because I'm bringing my mother-in-law, so she'll be able to watch the babies. So I'm there from Wednesday through Sunday, so I'm not gonna have a ton of time, unfortunately.
And I would tell you to just take a break, even if you get away from your children.
Well, and this is a video game podcast, so we're not gonna talk about nerdy things like book reading. But like, I'm really into reading books right now, which is not a thing for me. I finished Dune. I'm like halfway through
I don't even know you anymore.
I know. I'm becoming an adult. I got the
Worst.
Dune Messiah book. I got the new book by Andy Weir, who did The Martian, Project Hail Mary. Got that in the something. I might take a break, read some of that stuff, but I don't know.
Yeah, should.
Yeah.
Like,
We'll talk about books next week.
It's funny. We talked about like doing off-topic things on the show, and then because we talked about Oppenheimer, and that was over a year ago. So, if you want to just read John's book recommendations, that's fine.
Well, yeah, or something to think about. We can talk about some movies.
All the popular podcasts can talk about whatever they want, and people will listen. So.
Maybe that's what the people really want, Nick, because they want my opinions on Frank Herbert's 1963 masterpiece Dune.
Yeah.
Anything for you? No.
No, I have no
depression
idea.
and
Like,
sadness?
obviously, I didn't know. Thank goodness you're here would sneak up.
Get Pilatro. Come on, do it.
I'll definitely continue with Danganronpa 3 because again, it's just the chill game. I really don't have to think
Not
about
a lot
it.
of commitment. Well, you should be thinking about it, but I don't know. It's like a murder mystery. I almost feel like I have to think more about that one than I do like Devil May Cry or anything.
But it's like watching a movie.
Yeah.
It's not like
it is nice to like
it's
kind
not
of
really much of a fail state.
lean back on the couch, put the controller over here, and just put my finger on the X button. Just kind of, all right.
I forget which one it is. It's like I think it's R2 or it's one of the buttons will set it to auto, and then it'll just keep going.
Yeah.
But
I find that I always finish reading the sentence before, and I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
Come on. And I'm wasting time. I do know, like, if you hit circle, though, it just flies through it. And that's happened a couple times where I accidentally hit circle, and I was like, no, I don't know what you're saying anymore, which is a bummer. But you can hit, like, the touchpad, go back, read the things if you want. But
yeah. So, no, I have no idea. I really don't. But, that's fine. Like you said, I should probably.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, for you just have like 18 days or some sort close to that days of nothingness, and then
3 weeks.
You got your Outlaws, so that is something for the show. Is like we actually will have some topical. Well, Nick brought a very topical game today, but in the next couple weeks we'll have Outlaws talk, Astro talk from both of us. So should be good coming up here soon, but a little bit of a lull.
Yeah, and we've we talked a little bit on the show, but they're updating Astro's Playroom, the free game pack-in that came with the PlayStation 5. They're updating it with some an extra 4 robots to find extra, and there's trophies tied to it, and then those robots transfer into Astrobots. So
one of them's the hunter from Bloodborne.
Yeah, it was the first one they did. So there's a reason to go back to that game right now too. So, but I'm thinking I'm gonna wait for all 4 to be out and then download it, knock those out, and and get hyped for Astrobot.
Astrobot. All right. Well, that leads us into our music.
Yeah.
For today.
Is it Astrobot related?
No,
That's
it's
a
Slay the
shame.
Spire related.
Oh, okay.
The aptly titled "Slay the Spire" by Clark Abood. Title track.
Perfect.
It's on Spotify. I checked.
Okay.
Got you.
Fine.
All right.
I'll find it, and it'll be in the show.
It's very chill. It's like kind of like I don't know. I get like a knights and medieval type of vibe from it. I don't know why.
Nice.
But
all right, yeah, I haven't
stuff.
heard it, so I'm excited to hear it myself.
Sure.
All right, so that's it. We will be back next week, of course. Rate us on your platform of choice if you're wherever you're listening
Rate
to
us, write us, share us.
Yep. Please write us because that again guaranteed.
Touch us.
We'll read.
Touch
Even if you're just telling us
Or
about
touch
some
me.
game you're playing.
You don't have to touch Nick. He's he doesn't like to be touched.
Not at all. Not at all. But sorry.
It's a great time to close the podcast out with some coughing and some
dying.
sorries.
I'm dying. All right. Again, thank you for listening. We love you. We will be back next week, of course, with Up to 6 Things. Bye-bye.
Later. I gotta get